Hi guys, today we are going to be playing with some pastels, which is something that I don't really do that often, and I keep telling myself I don't really like pastels, so why do I keep buying pastel palettes? But there's something about them that they just make me happy, and they just scream spring, and I feel like now that it's getting warm out and it's kind of summery, I don't know, this palette, this is the new Me Glow palette, it is called the Pastel Dreams palette. There's something about this palette that just felt very appropriate for the season, and I ended up picking it up because I love Me Glow, and this palette is just, it's so beautiful. It's really nice and well done. I love the layout of this. When I swatched it, I didn't really realize this before I swatched it, but basically there are corresponding shades like mattes and shimmers. So you have two purples, two blues, two sort of corally neon-y peachy shades, two pinks, two greeny, how would I explain these? Mint colors maybe, and then two yellows. And I think that that is a really cool way to do a pastel palette like this because you don't see that often. You don't really see a lot of shimmery pastel shades. These are beautiful. I'm very excited to be playing with this. So that's basically what we're going to go ahead and do. This palette is quite expensive though, but also keep in mind that you get a lot of product in this. Me Glow's pans are enormous. So you get a lot of eyeshadow. This palette does retail for, what did I buy this for? $54, I think. So quite expensive, but like I said, you get a lot of products, so it makes sense that the palettes are more expensive than, say, other brands. I also ended up getting some magnetic palettes. Let me show you those because they are huge. I did not realize how big these magnetic palettes, like, do you see how big these are? If you have seen the ones from Adept Cosmetics, which I have one on the floor here that I'm trying to grab with my feet, I got it. Basically, this used to be the biggest palette that I had, like magnetic palette. I will show you kind of what it looks like inside. This is just like random shadows that I have. But here is the Adept Cosmetics palette, and then in comparison is the Me Glow palette. I will try to kind of put them side by side here so you can see just how big this palette is so big. But I am so excited because there's a lot of brands, especially indie brands, that I have a lot of single shadows from, and I'd like to, you know, be able to store everything from one brand inside of one palette. So this is going to be perfect. This is what it looks like. Like I said, enormous. I am making such a mess today. Jesus Christ, this day is not off to a great start. We're gonna go ahead and test out this palette. I am excited. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I think I want to try. I think I want to try to use most of the shades in this palette on my eyes and just not make a cohesive look at all, but I just want to test it out because I'm super intrigued. The swatches looked absolutely beautiful, and I just think that this is going to be really good quality like Me Glow always is. So I'm gonna start by priming. I'm using my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base as usual, and I do know that pastels are going to perform better with a white base, but I personally just don't like using a white base, so I'm not going to do this. So I'm just going to see how they perform on top of my regular eyeshadow primer, and I have no doubt in my mind that these are going to be very nice and pigmented and still perform almost just as well as if I had used a white base, because I have so many shadows from Me Glow and they're always really good. So sure, this is going to come as no surprise, but we're going to do a bit of a rainbow pastel look. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm so tempted to use this shade in my inner corner because you guys know I love a yellow inner corner highlight. So if I'm going to use the yellow, I want to probably go, I mean, we're going to do a rainbow. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out like which gradient is going to work the best here. I think what I want to do is I want to use the kind of cool tone shades on my top. So I want to use this one, and this one, and then underneath my eye I want to do this one and this one. I think that's going to work up pretty nicely. So should I do, I think I'm going to start with this color right here because this is going to blend very nicely into the blue, and the blue is going to blend nicely into the purple. So we're going to start with this one, which is one of the shades I'm the most excited about. This one is called Magic Mint. If you're someone who don't like a lot of kick up in your shadows, you would probably really like Me Glow because they're a little bit harder pressed than some brands. They don't have like powder flying everywhere. So like I said, if that is something that you think you would like, you would probably appreciate that these aren't super powdery. So I'm gonna start in the front portion of my crease here, and I'm just gonna put these colors down. I'm not gonna do a ton of blending yet. I just wanna put down the pigment and see how they perform. So this is looking really nice. I'm taking this about not quite halfway, I would say, and then I'm gonna have room for two other shades here, but this is looking very nice and pigmented. It's blending up beautifully. It reminds me a lot of Ice Algae from Cleona, which is one of my absolute favorite matte singles in my collection, or my favorite mattes all time, because it's such a beautiful color and it's also so pigmented. And this reminds me a lot of that shade. Really, really nice. Next up, I'm gonna go into the blue, which is called Queen of Clouds. Queen of the Clouds? Queen of the Clouds. So this one right here. And I'm gonna put that in the middle of my crease, leaving room in the outer corner for that purple. This also looks very, very nice and pigmented. Definitely on the buildable side. You do have to go in a couple of times to get it to be nice and opaque here, but it's building very nicely. That is such a cool color. Like, this is what I mean when I want pigmented pastels. Like, just because it's a pastel doesn't mean it have to be a wash of color. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I get comments when I kind of complain about pastels being a little bit too sheer and not that pigmented, but this is what I mean. Like, these are pastels, they're white-based mattes, but they're still very nice and pigmented, and that is what I am looking for in my pastels, because this is looking really, really nice. So lastly, you probably guessed it, we're gonna use the purple, which I already said that. This one is called La La Land, which is just the cutest thing ever. I'm just using my same brush for all of these, and I'm just kind of wiping it off in between. This is, of course, my Rephr number 13 because it is my holy grail brush and what I use for basically everything. So I'm just gonna take that in the outer corner of my eye here. Just gonna blend that into the blue. I'm also gonna take this just on the outer portion of my lower lash line just to kind of connect the outer corner. I wanna make sure I have room for 2 more shades underneath my eye, but I'm just kind of doing the same thing that I did on top. The shade seems to be taking a little bit longer to build up, but I'm not having any problems doing so. It's just, it seems a little bit sheerer and formula than the first 2 that I used, but it's definitely doing what I wanted to do, and it's getting very nice and pigmented. It just takes a little bit longer. Now let's go to the lower lash line, and for that I'm gonna use the pink as well as the coral shade. So I think I'm gonna start with, I mean, both of these are gonna blend quite nicely into the purple, but since I'm gonna do the yellow in the front portion, I wanna blend the yellow into the coral because those are gonna blend a little bit better than the yellow and the pink, just color theory wise. So I'm gonna start with the pink here. This one is called Pink Rain, and I'm just gonna pop that in the middle of my lower lash line here. And then lastly, I'm gonna take that coral shade on, a bit of a smaller brush. This one is called Twinkle Twinkle. This is such a pretty shade. Just gonna put that in the front portion of my lower lash line, and then just to finish off with the mattes, I'm gonna take the yellow and just put that in the inner corner, even though I do plan on layering the shimmer over the top, but I just kind of wanna see how it performs, even if I do plan on covering it up, but this is looking so cute. Okay, so same brush, just gonna go into the yellow, which is called It's So Fluffy. I love that. Just gonna put that, wow, look at that pigmentation. That is beautiful. Just taking that right in my inner corner here. Beautiful. Okay, let's go ahead and do some shimmers. Should I use some glitter primer? I mean, I know that these shimmers don't need it, but I'm gonna do it anyway because at this point it's just a habit. Just putting this all over my lid where I want my shimmers to go. And I think I'm gonna start with the purple on the outer portion and then use, I'm not gonna be able to use all of them because they're just not gonna go together that nicely with what I have going on. So I'm gonna take this one. It's maybe a little light to be like an outer corner shade though, but I think we're gonna try it anyway. This is definitely one of the duochromes. It is such a beautiful purpley gold shade. And I think I'm gonna probably use 2 shades on my lid and then the inner corner shades. I'm gonna take this in the outer half of my lid. That is really pretty. I love Me Glow's shimmers. They are so metallic, so beautiful, and so smooth. Ooh, I like that a lot. All right, and then for the front portion, I just have to use this shade, even though I don't really think that they're gonna go that nicely together, but I'm gonna take this shade here, which is called Too High for This. Oh my god, I don't know why I find that so funny, but that is really funny to me. And I'm gonna put that in the front portion of my lid. I find that both of these shimmers have a bit of a yellow shift to it, which I do think is going to make them blend together pretty nicely, actually. Yeah, I think these work better together than I originally thought they would. That looks very, very pretty. And I'm so excited to put that yellow shimmer in my inner corner. You have no idea. Okay, beautiful. Let's go in with the yellow shimmer. This one is called Rise and Shine. I'm gonna put this on dry just because I want to see how it performs. Oh, I love that. Love that so much. And I might be able to put one more shade on my lower lash line just to test one more out. So let's do that. I want to take the coral shimmer as well, and it's going to be this one. This one is called Peach for the Stars. I guess it's more of a peach shade, eh? So I'm going to take that one on the same brush. This is just a small pencil brush from Rephr. It's the 03. Again, going to use this dry and just going to put that over the top of that shade that I have put down already. All right, this is very fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off with my eyes. I'll probably just do some mascara, maybe like whiten my waterline and keep this kind of a light look. And then I'll come back and I will show you what it looks like. And I will give you my first impression thoughts on this because I definitely need to play with this more to like form an opinion. Oh, maybe I don't because anyway, I'll be right back. And this is the final look. So let me know what you think. I think that this turned out really, really fun. It's very spring, it's very summery, it's very light, but it's bright at the same time. And I dig this. This is a little bit lighter than what I would normally wear. You guys know that, but I don't know. I still really like this. I think it turned out really nice. Let me show you what I did to finish off. So in my waterline, I used, if I can find my eyeliner, which I can never find, Extra Frosting, I think this is from ColourPop. It's a kind of pastel-y yellow. It looks more white in the waterline, though it's not really that yellow, but that was kind of the look that I was going for. My blush today is just the one that's been on my desk for the last week or so. This is Apricot Girl from Unsai. I felt like it's just kind of, I don't know, it's not so intense, and I felt like that was very appropriate with that look. I also did some, I just dropped the blush too. I'm just, it's one of those days. For my highlighter today, I'm using a loose one from Me Glow. This is in the shade Baby Doll. It's basically a, I don't want to say icy pink because it's not so icy that it's like too icy for me, but it's definitely just a light pink highlighter, but I think it is beautiful. It honestly reminds me a lot of the Ofra highlighting formula, which is beautiful, but I find those to be a little too white based and just a little too stark on my skin tone because I am more of a light medium, especially in the summer. So I find those to be a little too light, but this one is definitely not. I think this is beautiful. And I also just think that this palette is beautiful. I mean, you guys saw me use it, how effortless that was. And I think that if you've been looking for a pastel palette, this is a very, very, very good option. And I really like with this one, so many of the pastel palettes that I have are all matte palettes. And even though I like that, I really like that there are kind of pastel-y shimmers in this. It's so tough to come across a palette with not only like this layout where you have like corresponding mattes and shimmers, which I think is a brilliant idea. It makes it so easy to use, but also just a combination of pastel mattes and pastel shimmers. I never see that anywhere. So I would say that this is definitely one of my favorite pastel palettes right now. And let me know if you want to see a video kind of comparing the pastel palettes that I have. I've thought about doing that so many times, but I'm just not sure like how to go about it. Like, should I do swatches of all of them? I'm obviously not going to be able to use them all on my eyes and like compare them side by side because I have so many and like it's just going to take too long. But let me know if there's something like that you want to see and maybe how I should approach it if you do want to see it, because I've just been a little bit like, I'd like to do it, but I just don't know how to. So let me know if you want to see that, and I can definitely do that. Also, let me know if you want more looks with this palette. I don't want to promise anything right now. I literally got 3 palettes in the mail yesterday, and so I don't want to promise to do multiple looks with all of them, but I probably will end up going back to this one and doing more looks if you guys are interested. I feel like there will be enough interest in this palette because a lot of people have been talking about this for quite some time. So if you do want to see more looks, please do let me know because it does help me just kind of decide what to prioritize. So that's basically going to be it for today. Thank you so much to you for watching as always. If you want to see some more, I would say Me Glow content, maybe I'll make a playlist. I'll put a playlist up there, probably like 3 videos or something. But if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.